Hi, everybody. This is the City of Coos Bay Parks Commission meeting for July 15th, 2021. My name is Greg Hamblett. I am new with the city. I'm the new operations administrator with the City of Coos Bay, and also the person calling to order for today on the Parks Commission. So I'm Greg Hamblett, and you are?
Erin Ann Lyons.
Erin Ann.
And then Bill Otten.
Bill?
Coco Sutton.
Coco Sutton? Hi, nice to meet you.
I'm Carolyn Johnson, I'm the Community Development Administrator.
And Kelly Burnett.
Okay, so that's that. Next up, it looks like the approval for the April 15th, 2021 meeting minutes, but can we do that?
We don't have a quorum.
That's what I was asking. Sorry, still learning. First day on the
And
job.
I think I may have misled you a little bit. Usually Erin Ann runs the meeting
Oh,
as
Go
the
ahead.
chair.
no, that's fine,
It's cool.
please.
It's cool.
No,
I've been talking all day. I've been running meetings all day.
okay,
so-
perfect. How about I just step in and you step in when I make a mistake?
Okay, that sounds great.
Okay, I'm
Will
so
anybody
sorry.
be online?
Nobody has popped in, so I think we're it. I did see Carmen out in the hall, but
That was so handy, because that made it available for a lot of people, otherwise couldn't make it.
yeah.
Although we like to see them in person, don't we?
We do, yeah.
How about I let you
We
just go
need
ahead and
two
run it
more.
from here and I'll chime in when need be.
Okay.
Sorry about that. She did totally mislead.
Sure.
I was wondering if I
I'm
could
very
ask a
adaptable.
question.
Sure. Carolyn's gonna run out and see if she can find
Right.
Carmen
Okay.
and see if Patty's out there. I didn't hear back from Patty about the meeting. I know,
She missed a meeting earlier, or board earlier today, because she had planned on Zooming into all the meetings today, so I'm
Okay.
not sure, if she doesn't make it online, that would be her plan, so.
gotcha, okay. Because I know Bill Davis and Bev Myers and Sam said they couldn't make it today. It is. No, if you just want to go ahead and sign in, and then have a seat. We're a little slow getting started, waiting for some other members to show up, so. But what was your question?
Well, just as a process question, since we didn't have meetings since April 15th, I was wondering if, when we do get a quorum, if we can remember for the next meeting set that we get, can we roll forward that the items in the closing comments of that April meeting were completed? Because there wouldn't be any other record to show, and I know we received emails concerning those items, and I thought it would be appropriate to show that they were completed, because they're just hanging out there.
Gotcha, okay.
Because you sent us emails
Yeah.
concerning those, but I don't know if those aren't reflected in the public record.
Sure, give you official,
Thank you.
yeah, you bet.
Okay, let's see. So, are you done with your introduction?
I am,
Okay,
thank you,
welcome.
thank you.
Citizen input, public comment. If you'll please state your name and your public comment. Yeah.
My name is Andrea Sharman. And I'm here today because I might be under the wrong impression, but I understand that Coos Bay is looking for development at Empire Lakes and considering different options for what might be good out there to bring people to that area. And
Andrea, I'm sorry, can I ask you to come to the podium so we have some stuff on recording, so.
Oh, sure, you bet.
Thank you.
Do I need to start over? Okay, so my name is Andrea Sharman, and I'm here today because I understand Coos Bay is looking at developing Empire Lakes and doing a lot of clearing out there. I actually live in North Bend, but I've been very involved in the disc golf project in North Bend and how they're looking at, creating the disc golf and expanding that because it's a very popular sport. And in reading a lot of literature, Empire Lakes seems like a pretty ideal spot for creating a 9 to an 18-hole course. And it is a popular sport in our area, so I just wanted to bring that to the City of Coos Bay's Park Commission as an idea to hopefully explore. And if you have any questions, I did bring a printout from a disc golf blog site that talks about course development, land requirements, kind of ideal locations. If you think of a golf course, it's very similar in that respect, and that they like obstacles and mature trees and water obstacles and things like that. Of course, there's all levels of course. North Bend has the Windsor Park, which is kind of a beginner intermediate course. They have a pilot project at Ferry Road Park, which is also a beginner kind of intermediate level course. But courses can be designed to actually accommodate beginner, intermediate, and advanced to bring in more tournaments and people who travel to play. So that's my spiel.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. I think the going forward, I think part of the plan is to do a master plan for that asset
Yes.
and look at the needs and potential uses for that. So I think when we get to that point, we'll reach out to discuss more options.
Sounds great. Can I leave this with someone?
Yeah, if you leave it with Kelly, she'll get it to the rest of us.
Thank you. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Yeah, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 5, fiscal year 21-22, city council goals as it relates to parks.
Hello, I'm Carolyn Johnson, your Community Development Administrator. I work with planning and economic development. I am going to be working on one of the council goals, and that is the update of the Parks Master Plan. This might look familiar to you. A lot of hard work went into this. When I read it, I was very impressed when I started here 3 years ago. I thought, wow, this is really good job. But the time has come for an update, and that's a bailiwick that's been handed to me, which I'm gladly taking because I used to do this in another life, parks planning. So I'm very excited to be working with you. The report that is in your packet gives more details about what the council goals are related to this master plan. I think they're pretty ambitious, but I think much of this is doable. So I'll be working with you as we go through the process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. There's a lot of things that have changed since you did your last plan. The National Parks and Recreation Association no longer uses kind of what they used to call the standards model. And it was kind of a one-size-fits-all that on a national level this group would put out. And they now are operating off of what's called park metrics. And Kelly was so kind to help me out with some of this. We essentially will be able to put in information about our community, and they will be able to tell us the types of resources that we probably are going to need based on the number of people we have, the physical amenities of the city, what we already have, our facilities. So anyway, I don't want to get too far into the weeds, but that's kind of the gist of it. And then the last piece of what I'd like to share with you is that a lot of these improvements that you're looking to do down the road, some of them are the same as what Randy had been working on in the past, and as you know, he got a lot of grants. So I'm going to try to step into those shoes. They're pretty big grant shoes. He raised a lot of money. He got a lot of money for the city. So, but anyway, that's a role that I'm going to be sliding into as much as I can. And you will see me from time to time. I'm technically a planner, but parks planning is really important. So I'm glad to be able to work on that too. Call me anytime. I'm on the website, and I'm going to step out. Unless you have questions. If there's questions, happy to answer. Sure.
Remember we had that meeting with Jim Hostley and the fellow who brought a lady who wanted to help invest money in the ballpark. Was there anything done? You were talking about trying to do something on looking into the possibilities where we could be and so forth. Did you get a chance to do that?
I've connected with our GIS coordinator to talk about potential property. He's been pretty backed up with all the new work with the wastewater treatment being brought in-house and all the work he's had to do related to that. So it's on the burner, but
Good. Yeah, I just want to add to it that since then, I talked to a lady who runs the youth softball program, thinking of getting her involved to help with coordinating the usage of it. And when I talked to her, she told me that she'd already been contacted by Roger,
Good. Very
saying
good.
that he asked her if she would do that. She wanted to help,
Good.
also with help raising funds, so between her and this other person,
That's
we
great.
do have some real strong help on that.
That's terrific. Local resources are always the best. You can write grants out to the state and foundations, but this is your home, and people know you, people want to do something for their own community, so that's terrific. That's really good news.
I assume that we're going to approach this like we did last time, where we have a multitude of work sessions that are a couple-hour blocks, because isn't feasible to accomplish this during this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think it would be a little tough. You'd be here, it'd be a very long day. So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Did you have any questions?
No.
No? Okay. Thank you for the time. Nice to see you all.
Thank you, Carolyn.
See you next time.
Okay, moving on to item number 6, skate park usership.
So, I started taking a look at this, I think my second week of my new position here with the city, and that's been about 2 weeks ago. And so I haven't had a whole lot of time to delve into this. I have done some research in both looking at some of the past considerations, the current considerations, and the current suggestions of utilizing mixed use. I've had an opportunity to look at a few internet searches on bicycle, BMX style parks, skate parks designs. So there is a world in which they can all coexist. Of course, BMX parks are much larger typically in nature than skate parks are, much larger than our current facility is. With that being said, I have found documentation both that says that, you should not have a combined use or a mixed use, and then I've also found lots of documentation that says you can do mixed use, depending on the size. One of the ones that I did find did reference 2 square foot of area or space per anticipated user. I'm not quite sure what our square footage is of the skate park. Does anybody know that off the top of their heads?
I'm actually the volunteer that's working on the skate park currently.
Okay,
I showed up today because I got a call saying you guys were going to be discussing this.
excellent.
If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to talk to you guys.
Oh, perfect. So what is the square footage area of the,
I don't remember the exact square footage of cement with the tennis courts that are there. You want me to go to mine?
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
that'd
good.
be
Then we
perfect.
can
Thank
hear
you.
it.
I guess state your name as well.
Yep. My name is Tristan Reeser. I reside in Coos Bay, Oregon. You want my address? I can give it. 91516 Dolezal Lane, Coos Bay, Oregon. I was part of the group that raised the money and actually built the skate park originally. The design of that park specifically was designed for skateboarders, by skateboarders. And what I mean by that is the construction materials on the grinding edge of the bowl can be damaged by bikes and scooters, which is where that rule came from, that they weren't allowed. At the last Parks Commission meeting that you guys had, it's been a couple months now, I recommended that we evaluate the skate park square footage. There's a bunch of repairs that are still needed to the park that I am not capable of completing due to cost associated with the repairs. So my number one recommendation is repairing the park. It's settled quite significantly over the years, and it needs some major repairs, somewhere in the range of $50,000 is my estimation. When I realized that, I immediately took the steps to start a nonprofit for that park, and I would like to report to you guys, we just received our charity status, I think 2 weeks ago. So I've personally been a little bit too busy down at the park. I've been putting 8 to 10 hour days in trying to make sure that I stay on the timeline of the repairs that I said I would, which became quite extensive compared to what I thought they would be. I should still make my timeline of July 31st to have it back open. Kind of crossing my fingers on that one, but it should still happen. I think the square footage is around 9,000 square feet for the concrete. And then the tennis court itself is another 6,500 square feet, the partial that's inside the skate park currently. The tennis court adjacent to it, which needs a lot of work for tennis, is another 7,000 square feet. And I tried to get on the Parks Commission meeting last month to discuss the possibility of land use approval to be able to have the ability to reach out to companies to design a skate park for bikes, scooters, and skateboarders that are designed correctly for the use of all three instead of just the one. Because I do believe that we can share the space. Currently, the park wasn't designed for it. The rule hasn't been enforced in years. There's some damage from that not happening. Ultimately, it's a city park. It's your guys' rules. You want to change them? It's up to you. I still stand by my recommendation to expand and repair before we do so. But with that being said, nobody really enforces anything in the parks in this point in time, so.
Right. Thank you. Does anyone from the commission have any other questions?
I had a question on the recommendation from Mr. Hamlet concerning signage. And you
Yes.
recommended the city was needing to review the cost for adding some additional recreational immunity on that park. And so
Additional, sorry, I could barely hear you, I'm sorry.
on your memo that's Exhibit 6 for these meeting minutes, there was information in there that indicated that the city staff was looking to update and increase verbiage in signage on the skate park.
Yes.
And it sounded like part of that, in addition to the resolution, which I believe is 0912, which are the skate park rules that were initially for that park, there was something about verbiage for the recreational immunity.
Yes.
And is that, has that been completed, or you're working on that to update the signs?
Right now, what we're looking at is, for me specifically, because of my new position and my new understanding of the need or the wants or the desires, or, you know, can we not, I don't know. And so these are some of the things that I'm looking into. So what I'm asking for, what staff is recommending right now at this point, is a bit more time to investigate the additional costs, the additional insurance costs, some of the other additional carriers that we don't have definitive answers on now in moving forward. Basically, we're waiting for the insurance agency to say, yes, we can do it, you know, or we can do it, but we have to use this type of language. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. Back in 2007, 2009, there was a risk assessment done by CIS Risk Management. We just found it today. You know, they say you can do a mixed, but they urge us not to. As long as we, you know, notify the rules, they suggested doing a, you know, bicycles at this time, skateboards at this time, you know, type situation. But like Tristan was just saying, is it Tristan? Yeah, Tristan, I'm so sorry. Tristan was just saying, you know, who follows the rules? So we can post all the signs we want, but who follows the rules? I know as a kid, when I was a kid, whatever, rules are rules, but we've got to post them. We got to update our signage. We've got to make sure that, you know, everything that we're doing is, you know, for the benefit of the citizens, but at the same time, limiting the exposure to the city in certain aspects.
So, and I forgot to say, I'm Commissioner Coco Sutton. With that in mind, if Mr. Reesner's opening the park back up for skateboard only, if that happens this summer, would you want the new signage prior to that opening? Is that what I'm understanding?
No, I think the new signage would be if we do decide to move with the mixed use.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be the signage that we would be looking for. I think the signage that we have now is adequate.
For the status quo.
for where we're at right now. And I
Okay.
think based off of Tristan's recommendation, until the site is upgraded to a larger size, or different abilities, different materials, different structural materials, that I think, keeping it just as a skate park until we can do those upgrades, or until we can do those assessments, or we can separate usage, have the mixed usage of time between 6 and 8, or 5 and 3, or whatever those might be, those hours might be. And so that's why we're requesting more time to understand the full scope, or the full view of everything.
Okay, so the recreational immunity is not pertinent to the existing park?
Recreational immunity is, I believe we have that in place through our insurance.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you for the clarification.
okay.
One way that we can expand the park and do it almost immediately is to take over that second tennis court that's there. There's a fence dividing the park and the tennis court. It would increase the square footage by 7,000 square feet. It's only flat ground, so there's no structure, but it is an easy, quick way to actually expand the square footage. I've spent the last 10 months down there as a park monitor to try to make sure that the park doesn't get damaged past what it was. Considering the condition that it was in, I felt it necessary. And once I'm done with these repairs, I don't feel that's necessary anymore, so I will not be doing that. But in that time frame, I was keeping track of usership and stuff like that. On average, 4 to 6 people play tennis a month. On average, 20 to 30 people use the skate park.
A day.
So, a day.
Yeah.
The construction of the park is in such a way that it was designed for skateboards. Bikes and scooters will damage it, but it'll damage it quicker than skateboards. I'm not saying that skateboards won't damage it. There is wear and tear. Bike tags will wear and tear it a lot faster. Same thing with scooters, especially with scooter becoming more popular. I think they need a place to ride, but seeing how they use the park and considering that the grinding edge of that park is literally concrete tiles that can be broken, they launch out with their metal scooter and land on it from 4 or 5 feet up. It's like taking a hammer to a piece of concrete. Eventually it gives. I'm not saying that if you allow them in there right away, it's going to be damaged right off the bat. It'll take time, just like it took time before it got to the point that it's at currently. It took approximately 12 years, where if it was skateboards only, it would have took 20 years to get to that point. So,
In your dream, you could do whatever you wanted, what would that be? What would that look like?
what I would like to ask for land use would be that tennis court and the back grass hill area that's surrounding it, which if the tennis court was utilized for the skate park, the grass hill area wouldn't really be usable for much else. And then I, at that time, would be able to reach out to a professional skate park design and build company, Dreamland. They're based out of Lincoln City, Oregon. They do an amazing design build process. I'd like to see it utilized for all the sports, and over the years, sports evolve, so I think we need to evolve with it, but we need to start the process to raise the money, to get the design, to build out a master plan, and, yeah, baby steps.
Yeah, and I think part of, item that we just spoke about earlier is the 21, 22 city council goals, and then also redoing our master plan, which has to be redone each year. I mean, I think that's going to be a crucial piece, is looking at all of our assets and how can we do better. And so having input from you and input, and that's why I asked what if you could have whatever you wanted, like what would you want? So
There's a really long story about Coos Bay and how it came into existence, and I'm not going to tell it here because I don't want to keep you guys for the next hour. But originally, the city council gave us 32,000 square feet of that park. And there was a design done, cost the organization $20,000. Over the course of us raising the funds for it, there was rollover in the council. Over half the council was new. We reapproached them about what we had planned, what the plans were, and they rug pulled the land out from underneath us. So we had progress, we had no land. At that time, the organization pretty much self-imploded, and we're lucky that we built anything at that site.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not asking for 32,000 square feet down there. I thought that was a little ambitious back then. I still do. My proposal would be right around that 20,000 square foot mark.
Okay, thank you. Because I think a piece of that is looking at our assets and looking at that whole section and seeing what's the highest and best use for that area, and then also what improvements need to be used so it's working well for our citizens.
The only other part of the park that I see used more is the walking path at Meeks Park. And I've been down there daily for 10 months.
Yeah.
I see.
I think it was Iowa just put in an 80,000 square foot skate park. It's the same.
A tunnel and it goes through, no.
It's actually world class. Like they just held the youth tour there recently.
Awesome. Thank you.
And I should mention that our skate park was in the Graphic magazine. If you guys know what that was, the June issue.
Nice.
Oh, just recently. Oh.
I tried to look it up online and couldn't find it.
It's a full page ad for Ellen Skateboard. I actually have it on my phone. I can, if you'd like to see it.
That would be cool, and then
Yeah,
she
would
can
you-
share it with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So given that we do not have enough people to vote today, we cannot take any votes for any action. But I do appreciate you coming down and sharing information with us. I think the advantage with a lot of this stuff is having some historical context. And Carmen and I remember building the skate park and all of the stuff that went on, and then now we can see what it's at, and now we have a lot of council support for different things and the importance of parks in general. So we appreciate that you've been on it through the long haul. So
I was born and raised here, and I was at the original skate park in 1995 when it opened.
yeah,
Not the one that's built now, the one you built over.
yeah. So I think we will move on to our final item. We appreciate you coming in. Staff commissioner and closing comments. Coco, do you have any comments?
Yes, I wanted to ask when, I'm trying to find, Carolyn Johnson was here. In her memo, she mentioned that she was going to be working on some online, so I'm assuming they're using, on the metrics model, data like repairs, land square footage, existing unimproved parks, and that will be plugged into some kind of a software program that you have, and then we'll use that to use as a baseline for planning? Is that the system that you have?
So what it is right now is just starting I want to say a survey that's on the internet. And so it has a series of questions, and then we plug in our information, and I believe it'll just generate some results that we can work off of.
Now, is that the community surveys that you've done in the past with residents, or?
No, this is a
Okay.
different program.
Okay.
And I don't know too much about it.
Okay, I was
But-
just curious.
Yeah, I think it's just a module out there that jurisdictions can use,
Okay,
with metrics based.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
But it does look at square footage and current facilities and all that stuff.
So my understanding is you put everything in the metrics, and then we'll start our initial conversation moving forward from there for the next Parks Master Plan.
Right. Yeah.
Baseline.
Bill, any comments?
So many things to do this summer. I mean, the skate park, the idea of disc golf, the thing we're working on, trying to get some support for the field complex, lots to get going.
Carmen?
Yeah, I have a few things. First off, do we have any plans for weed control in the Mingus Park pond? Noticed that the parrot's feather has completely taken over a majority of the park. I know we've cleaned it out in the past. It seems like it's getting pretty bad right now. And I noticed there was a buoy out there.
I'm assuming that's to the trap for the nutria? That's a question,
Oh.
that's a question mark. Jim, do you know?
I don't know that answer, but that sounds reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can find it out.
And do we know if the 4 nutria that were there, have they been trapped yet?
I haven't heard the
Okay,
takedown count.
because they were huge.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I haven't seen them much lately, but I've also been pretty busy, so.
I know it's been a continuing effort.
Okay.
When we keep checking in, he's still out there, so
Okay.
Do we
they have the
do
trapper.
regular maintenance on the pond, though? Do we clear out the parrot's feather? I thought we've done it before.
Yeah, we have in the past, Rex Miller had pesticide that
Oh.
we do that. I'm guessing Randy probably did set up for it in anticipation that we were going to dredge.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I noticed that the pond was getting away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's getting pretty intense. You could almost walk across it at this point.
Really?
Yeah.
And then the second thing was basketball hoop over there by the skate park is a giant hole and the barricades are falling down now, so I'm a little worried. I was hoping that we have an update on when that might get finished.
So we ordered the basketball hoop, and we're just waiting for that to get here, and as soon as it does, then we will get that finished. We'll also get over there and take a look at those barricades.
Yeah, it just, I mean, they're just the little A-frames, but I noticed driving by today that they're starting to get
Are you banged up?
disassembled.
Okay.
Yeah.
The wind blows them over every day. I stood them up quite a lot.
Yeah, I figured so. Other than that, I think, with the skate park, obviously we're going to need some more data, but I do think it's worth looking at the shared usership because there's been a lot of people wanting to go in there, a lot of kids. I know that it's just going to make it more, there's just going to be more population there, and that can create more of a, safety risk. But it operated for quite a while prior to that. And I'm kind of amazed that, let's see, the park's been completed for, 20 years now? 12? Oh,
Broke ground 2008, finished 2009,
oh, okay,
March 5th, I believe.
okay. So the coping lasted over 10 years. Is that normal, or is that abused, or what is that?
It's
Is that, would you say that replacing coping needs to happen more frequently at a regular park? Like, was this maybe we didn't pay attention to it enough prior to, like we should have done more regular maintenance?
Maintenance that could have happened
Yeah,
that didn't.
probably also a little bit of design or build issues.
I'd say it's more of a Marshfield issue.
Of what?
Marshfield issue?
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Well,
Um,
with the
by-
settling,
By my estimations, without having somebody go in and actually take the elevations of the drains, which was known when we installed the park and built it, I think it's sunk by about 6 to 12 inches. Like, I'm actually amazed it's in as good a shape as it is, considering how much shifting has happened in the area.
yeah,
And that's one of the things that I think needs to be addressed as far as the repairs go. There's a large crack along what's called the flat bank behind what's called the cradle, which is the main thing that you see when you drive by. On the back side of that, there's in my opinion, a structural crack. And that flat bank needs to be demoed, re-engineered to support the weight of that cradle, because the cradle itself, concrete alone, I estimated 120,000 pounds. And because of where it sits, the 8th Street side of the park sits on solid ground. The tennis court basketball side of the park used to be a slough at the turn of the century. So it doesn't matter how well we did our compactions or how well we built it, it's settling.
yeah,
Unless we go all the way to bedrock, which I talked with Tom Goski, which did repairs to the apartment complex across the street just in the last couple months. He said 60 feet to bedrock. that could get pretty expensive to try to save a skate park. The other option, talking with engineers about the issue, is to design it like a boat, essentially, so that we take that weight that's concentrated on that one spot, we spread it out over a larger area. In order to do that, we need to expand the park at the same time, which
Yep.
is where the repair and expansion statement comes from.
Yep.
But if we were to repair it and expand it, I'd want to see it designed in such a way that if it was expanded further, AKA the second tennis court, the Backgrass Hill area, that it was all one design and it flowed together correctly.
Yeah.
Instead of just going in and building whatever.
So I guess part of what I'm getting at is the scooters and the bikes, they probably played a part in the increase in maintenance, but it's probably not as much as just time itself, so I don't know, that's kind of where I'm leaning. But we can have that whole discussion when we have all the information. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Carmen. Jim, you joined us. Do you have anything to share with us?
No, I just appreciate your meeting. I apologize. The meeting I was in ran late.
Well, thank you for joining us. For me, I think, I'm always a big proponent on master planning, and that's why I brought up almost a year ago that we needed to start our master plan for the next session. And then look at our assets and look at the community input and the re-enhancement and energy towards each of our assets, and really move forward with them. Making sure that they're used in the way that benefits our community. So, and I think we're really moving towards that. We have really a good group of people looking at each of our assets and wanting to be supportive of them. So I think that's really great to see.
I think I should add, I'm not against the usership of park for scooters. I'm just making my recommendations on what is there, what was built, and why it was built.
We appreciate that. So, closing comments?
No, thank you. Thank you for coming down. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming down. I appreciate the input. Your knowledge is pretty impressive on the topic, and I really appreciate that. Thank you, everybody, for entertaining my aspirations of running the meeting today. We got dashed pretty quick, and I'm okay with that. But it was a pleasure meeting you guys. Look forward to working with you guys. Look forward to learning more and more about our parks, our assets that we have. Looking at some of the changes that are going to be coming up, and I'm excited to see them happen. So thank you for your time.
Kelly, anything you would like to add?
Bear with us.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, and we are adjourned.
Thank you.